Thank you very much, Derek. Great to be with you all tonight, everybody. Well, I was in Toronto 24 hours ago, and I'm here tonight. It's an exciting bit of travel, and exciting times, October 28th. Saw something on the Twitter feed just in the last 24 hours. It was informing me that Senator Rand Paul, a United States Senator, and he's had his moments with Anthony Fauci over the last year and a half. And he is specifically releasing today, October the 28th, go and find it on your various media, both a video and a transcript of his accusations against Dr. Anthony Fauci. And I have 3 words for Dr. Fauci. You're going down. He's going down. And Senator Rand Paul will make sure that it happens. He's not doing it out of vindictiveness. He's doing it out of truth and the desire that humans have the right to live a normal lifespan. And Dr. Fauci is the person, along with other allied people, who have interfered with that by not just allowing the COVID circumstance to surge through us as it has, without appropriate medicines being used. He has also allowed it because he literally invented the science that made the virus happen. I state that categorically in front of you all. So, with that in mind, because October the 28th is the day on which this will all be released, and it will be much more erudite than myself talking about it, do find Senator Rand Paul's film and transcript. It's coming out today. But I said the same things in a quick 2.5 minutes with Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson 2 full years ago. 2 full years ago, this video you're about to be seeing was produced by myself and Laura Lynn as my host, and we let the world know how this happened to us. If we could have that first film, please.
Why is it that the bad things are happening? Well, it's because the bad people were in charge at the beginning. We all know Fauci was illicit. We all know that he took the whole plan to make this virus offshore from the States. He ignored what Obama told him to begin to not do, and by 2015, everything was going. He was making it happen in Wuhan. And he and Peter Daszak were also preparing so that once the code was fully established and created over in Wuhan, it could also ship back to the States. And there is paperwork that shows that the codes that went into the aerosolized virus also were brought back to the States, given to Fauci and others. Fauci and others put it into the hands of Moderna, a company, by the way, that Fauci once had a financial interest in. And Moderna, modern RNA company, it never made another product prior in its lifetime. In its lifetime, Moderna had never made another product, but they were given, according to Dr. Martin and others, and they've done the digging, they were given the genomic thing that I would call Death Code 2015, because it was actually made in 2015. The code for the vaccine spike protein was made in 2015, and it was the same code that was put into the virus in Wuhan. And they were worked on in parallel between 2015 and 2019. That's 4 years. They had a nice little 4 years to get this whole puppy going and elicit inappropriate, quotes vaccine. It's not a vaccine. It's a bio-harming agent, a T-cell killing agent, an immunity-damning agent which does absolutely nothing useful for you as a society. Please listen to this. Please, all of us, stop. Many countries have stopped. Denmark in particular has stopped. First for 18 and under, now it's 50 and under. Denmark will not give it to anyone 50 and under because of the known toxicities. So as far as I'm concerned, this puppy is over. The evidence is in. Everything I'm saying to you is honestly the truth. And the research to create it. Vaccine, Colt's vaccine, and spike protein germ together. They were done over 4 years under the say-so of Dr. Anthony Fauci, the world's greatest traitor.
Yeah, he was the world's greatest traitor 2 years ago. We know more and more about it now. However, we have to deal with it. We're rational humans. We've learned how terrible it's been. We knew who's been part of making it. But I wish to take the next 5 or 6 minutes to speak politely and with calmness to our dear Premier here in Alberta. She is the Premier. She deserves to be the Premier. She's had strong words of responsibility and freedom of choice to speak to Albertans recently. And I take her at her word for it. I have certain concerns, as Dr. Mackes has, and he's right to say them, that not enough has been done in as timely a manner. But I still have a strong belief in her party, and I still have a strong belief in her that she is the only chance to make Alberta into Canada's Florida. We have to start somewhere. We have to start right here with the truths, and we're doing that. So, the dear Premier Smith, I say to you, this is a speech of outreach. Congratulations to you and Justice Minister Mickey Amery. Thank you for outlining the need to protect self-expression for Canadians. Absolutely, and especially for professionals. Your expression of this at this time for Canada is crucial. Your actions mean that even if Bill 293 is passed by the federal government, Alberta will have the opportunity to protect its own citizens. But why am I here today? Why have I been asked to speak on such matters? I'm just a physician. I cure the sick. I try to keep them from dying too young. That's my job. I've been doing it for 45 years. Well, the hallmark of good medicine is to always keep your ears and eyes open to new or changing information. Information that would help our patient who's right in front of us. Diagnoses are always to be questioned by the practitioner. Don't assume you're right every time. If you find something that's going a little amiss or new findings, react to it. Treatments, whether they work or need to be changed, are always to be questioned. So to censor doctors in this pandemic for talking to their patients, for thinking and listening to the initiatives that are happening worldwide, of medications that are working wonderfully worldwide, why shouldn't we be impressed by such information? Why shouldn't we try to protect Canadians? That's what Dr. Mackes, myself, and so many others have been trying to do, and will continue to try to do it. But it was not politicians that actively prevented us from speaking up. They too were being fooled. They too were being fooled by the hospital systems and the medical regulators that have fooled us all around the world, because they hid what was known. And what was known? After COVID-1, SARS, the original SARS of 2002, the whole world went to work to find out what would work if there was ever another coronavirus attack around the world. They worked on it for 10 years. And in the 10 years, they found the answer. The 3 drugs that would work marvelously and would cure 95% of people with a coronavirus infection were ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and interferon. Interferon's a bit complex and a bit more dangerous, so to speak, to use, but it would have been useful. But the 2 easy to use and completely safe medicines proved by medical science, DARPA and the FDA. It was all proven by 2012. And everybody sat back, well, we can be relaxed. If it ever happens, we've got something we can instantly use and stop it from expanding within our country. So you'll ask yourself, since we had 100% proof from serious scientists that ivermectin would work, what happened? Well, what happened was that moneyed people decided they wanted a lie to go through society so they could run a scam on us. And they told everyone, the medical health people, the public agency people, the politicians, and ourselves. They told all of us, do not use these medications during a declared emergency. Even though they were knowledgeable, my apologies, they were knowledgeable that all these medications, the 3 I just mentioned, were on the approved medication list of every province and territory in Canada and had been there in most instances for close to 35 years. Sitting there, ready to be used, proven effective, and nobody told us the truth. So, I mean, it's tough news, but it is the real truth. I'm not standing up here after 45 years in medical practice inventing a story. This is a real scientific fact. And so, Madam Premier, my my request to you, it's not private, I'm making it in public, but I would talk to you in private about these things gladly. And I encourage you to consider to do what Tennessee did 2 years ago. Tennessee created a medical directive in which the legislature of Tennessee told its medical agencies, you have no more right to keep this medication from the population. The politicians had to go there. They had to take their own blinders off and state that medications that have been used safely for 35 years deserve to be used by a clear-thinking doctor or nurse practitioner or pharmacist. So in fact, the 3-page document that they created, and I have those 3 pages here, those 3 pages tell you how in a 10-minute session of your legislature, you can write those same 3 pages of rules, and that pharmacists can dispense either ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine for the same reasons that they now dispense Paxlovid, a drug for $600 a dose or a regimen that has 22 side effects, especially to cardiac patients that are very difficult and problematic. Paxlovid is junk compared to the pure simplicity of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine that works simply and safely. I saved my own life with ivermectin in January of 2022 because I had worked in a COVID clinic for 1.5 years. People were coughing and spitting and everything was around me. I was wearing my spacesuit, not that it made that much of a difference, but I never caught COVID in 1.5 years. My own natural immune system kept me safe from COVID. But when I got 2 shots, when I was misled, when I didn't know what I learned in January of 2022, when it was the fall of 2021 and I didn't know the facts yet about Dr. Fauci, the facts I just spoke about in that video. That's when I got my case of COVID after getting the 2 shots. 2 shots was enough, 2 shots of the COVID-19 vax was enough to damage my immune system enough that I caught COVID. Exactly. Just like President Biden, who caught COVID 4 times after his 4 shots, and Fauci himself, who got COVID 4 times after his 4 shots. Well, I stopped at 2 shots, wisely enough. I will never get enough of those idiotic, dangerous, toxic, immune-damaging jabs, and nor should any other person, nor especially should any child in any country ever get them, because it destroys their immune system. So, medications were available, treatments were available, but the global situation out of Brussels and out of the WEF and out of Geneva and out of the horrific planning that has gone into this, it came out to every country on earth, and every country got dumb in a hurry. Australia got dumb in a hurry, Germany got dumb in a hurry, Canada got dumb in a hurry, the United States. But what we can do? We're not dumb anymore. We realize the facts. I now need to speak for just a moment about the vaccines themselves and not the treatments that were easily available. The vaccines themselves, if I could see that pink chart that you kindly put up on the board behind me, thank you. That shows that in all of 2020, on the left-hand side, in 2020, something called excess death and mortality in Canada was sitting at its normal 0 to 18%. It can sometimes, from time to time, excess mortality can go up from 0 to 10%, maybe 15% higher than the previous decades of deaths. So in 2020, pretty normal, well under 20 per 100,000. Suddenly in 2021, right in the middle of the graph, as it starts to go up on this mountainous climbing, the mountainous climbing began in March of 2021 and has ascended all the way into the middle of 2024. So now instead of a 10% elevation in excess deaths, it's a 5-fold worsening of that, 500% higher, 500%. You've gone from 10 per 100,000 up to 100 to 120 per 100,000. That is a 5-fold increase, a 5-fold increase in excess mortality. You never see 5-fold increases in excess mortality unless you've got nuclear bombs raining down on your country. This is real bad news to have numbers like that. And the numbers did not begin in 2020. 2020, the death rate was the same as every other year on planet Earth. And as the shots rang out, as the jabs went into our arms, the death rate went up. Percentage point by percentage point by percentage point, so that we're now at the top of that mountain, and the mountain is going to continue. The unexplained deaths, the turbo cancers, the harm to our immune system. The jabs go in and they produce basically tiny little razor blades that can go into every endothelial surface in your body. Your entire blood system, from your kidneys to your heart, to your aorta, to your brain, to your kidneys, to your baby's brain, if it's in the placenta. These injuries can go into all of them, and do go all of them, because it's an endothelial damage, which means the lining of your blood system is being damaged chronically. And it's just a question of where you have the greater weakness. That's where you'll have the illness. It might be a skin eruption. It might be myocarditis in a child. One other thing I need to tell you, the Premier and everybody else, it's like a host versus transplant reaction. The proteins and the mRNAs that build these proteins, they go in there and they wave a flag and tell your body, this isn't your heart anymore. It's got some strange foreign DNA, which is certainly not John Smith's heart. Your job as an immune system is to go and attack that heart because it's not John Smith's heart. That's what the body thinks, because this is a technology that's never been used before. It's doing the opposite of what you should do if you actually have a heart transplant. When you have a heart transplant, you dampen down the immune system so that it can't overreact, and so that it can't harm you who's having to receive a foreign heart. Were any of you offered medications after your shot to dampen down your immune system because your immune system was going to attack you because they put a flag-waving RNA into your body? No, not one of you was offered that treatment, that support, that appropriate medical support if you were being given something that would make your immune system hyper. People always think you can be damaged if you have a hypoimmune or a low immune system. Well, wait a minute. You can also be damaged if your immune system is being fooled into becoming hyper and therefore going after you. And that's what's caused some of the mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and wives and brothers and sisters of yours to be deceased already. It's caused the slow but steady immune harm to their heart and to their organs. And I'll conclude with one last short, I think it's just a 1-minute video, but before it starts, I just want to emphasize that Kevin McKernan, who's speaking here, he is the world-famous scientist who literally created, annotated, and documented the human genome, the Human Genome Project. You might have heard about it 15 years ago. This is a scientist who is so articulate and so knowledgeable about human genetics that he was able to map the actual human genome and tell us what it was. He is now about to tell us what is happening inside the human body, because DNA, and not just RNA, DNA, the actual DNA, the map of life, is actually 1/3 of what's put into you at every shot. It was never just RNA. It was always DNA inside plasmids. And it was purposely done because the DNA would just be little fragments floating there if it was accidental. But it's DNA purposely put inside the same lipid plasmids that the RNA was put in. So the science was to put DNA that could get across the blood-brain barrier. That's the whole thing about plasmids. They can go into the ovaries, they can cross into the blood-brain barrier, they can go into the bone marrow. Places that a routine vaccine would never go. Never go. Polio vaccine would never go near your ovaries, your brain, your bone marrow. But these things do, and once they go in there, and once they contain DNA, let Kevin McKernan tell you what he found in analyzing.
We were quite shocked by the results. This is a person who was vaccinated 4 times by Pfizer. 1 year since vaccination, tumors emerged. Person was dead within a month. We got 3 biopsies out of them, 1 postmortem. All of them have SV40 in the origin of replication from the Pfizer vaccine. We performed some sequencing, which we're going deeper on right now, but even that preliminary sequencing shows this is in fact Pfizer's vaccine. We have enough sequence. There's sequences in there from Spike and other places. Now, what is shocking in this work is we were never expecting to find the DNA at a copy number greater than the human genome. Like if you get an insertional mutagenesis event and that is a driver mutation, that means that tumor starts taking off. The insertional mutation should be at the same copy number as another human gene. What we were expecting to find is something where maybe 10 or 20% of the tumor actually was mutated, and therefore it would come out later on PCR than our human gene. We're seeing the opposite here. This is expanded inside the patient, and that if we're getting signals in PCR that are so hot that it looks like we actually amplified the vaccine directly from the vial, and that's impossible. That means after you inject someone with 300 microliters, this person got 4, so 1.2 mLs. You should have a 64,000-fold dilution into their body, so we should see a 6 CT shift in where this PCR signal comes out from dilution alone. We don't see that. We see something where it's coming in at the same concentration as the original vial or higher. That tells us the DNA is replicating. That tells us that the origin, the mammalian origin of replication that's in Pfizer's vaccine is active in human tumors.
In other words, he's sadly telling us that these turbo cancers are happening because DNA augmentation, replication is happening inside us. The unluckiest of us are dead already from it. And every government on earth, not just Alberta, every government on earth should ban every RNA, DNA vaccine, because all RNA vaccines are also DNA vaccines. They are. And that is the end of my message today.
I appreciate you welcoming here to Alberta and being an honorary Albertan once again. But we are all citizens of the world. We've all been lied to. Whoever is willing to have the real guts to invite a real discussion about the real science, I ask any of you to pick up the phone and give me a call. We'll sit down in 20 or 30 minutes and discuss privately with you the reasons that we should take these two approaches. Thank you, everybody.